Hey viewers, my name's Cara. I'm your host for Tuesdays on the Pagan Perspective, and this week we're talking about Akashic Records. This topic, I have to be honest, is one that we didn't really think we would have a lot to say about. It was actually, the topic was requested multiple years ago, back when we did videos for the week on Akasha, Spirit, and the fifth element, and basically everyone's concepts of the fifth element. This person, I'm gonna call them Bishop, but their name is below with the very short topic suggestion. Bishop then asked us, hey, can you do a segment on the Akashic Records? And at the time I had said, you know, we didn't really have a whole lot to say about Akasha and the fifth element in the first place, and the Akashic Records I feel like would just be a lot of repetition of that, so let's give it a while. And then we've never gotten around to it, so recently I asked the whole group about various topics that had just been sitting on the list to maybe cover later. I wasn't really sure if we knew enough about it, and so I asked everyone about 6 different topics, and a lot of them, everyone said, no, I really don't think I could say anything about that. I don't think I could really make a video, excuse me, I have hiccups, about that. And so we weren't necessarily going to do this topic, but a couple of us did think that we had some things to say. And also, Bishop is one of our oldest subscribers, by which I do not mean that he is biologically the oldest in age, but one of our, someone who has been subscribed to Pagan Perspective for a really long time. So I wanted to honor that request. So we're talking about the Akashic Records. Really, I don't have a whole ton to say about it either, but I wanted to read a little bit of some definitions from the Encyclopedia of Wicca and Witchcraft, 2nd edition, by Raven Grimassi, just in case some of you haven't read it yet, don't have your own copy, or maybe haven't stumbled upon the exact definitions that he gives when you do your Google searching or whatever it is that you do. So just really briefly, these are abridged definitions. Akasha, spelling on the screen, is a term denoting pure spirit, the 5th creative element. It is the subtle spiritual essence that pervades all space. It is not ether itself, but is an ether-like substance of a spiritual nature rather than a material nature. Essentially, Akasha is to ether what spirit is to physical matter. In ancient writings such as the Puranas like the fish, no. Akasha is said to operate through sound or vibration, thus it is identified with the element of air, and in a spiritual sense with the, quote, breath of God concept in ancient Hebraic texts. Moving down to the next paragraph, to move energy in a ritual spell or work of magic is to evoke Akasha. Akasha is an element of the Kundalini force as well, lying latent at the base of all magical operations. This energy rises with our emotions and desires and is the basis for fertility of mind, body, and spirit. It is the energy of motivation, passion, and determination. So in my own words, Akasha is sort of the my own words are not words, but motions. Akasha is sort of the underlying force, or the power that people talk about when we talk about magic is raising power and raising energy. Akasha is a name for that power, that energy. That's the thing that we're talking about. And when we say it's the 5th creative element, that's what we're referring to, such as with the symbolism of the pentagram or the pentacle that we wear. I'm not wearing one today because I just came from work, so I'm wearing my chakra tree of life, which I did make, by the way. This is one of my personal designs. Spirit is the 5th point on the pentacle, and the other 4 creative elements are earth, air, fire, water, joined by spirit. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about Akasha in the first place. And then the last portion of the definition of Akasha in this book talks about the Tatvik tides. Tatvik? I absolutely have no idea how to actually pronounce that, but I will put it on the screen. And it says, on a larger scale, Akasha is one of the Tatvik tides of occult philosophy, an energy form that is most active at sunrise. As one of the Tatvik tides, Akasha emanates the power of spirit to harmonize the 4 elements of earth, air, fire, and water, so on and so on. And then if you turn in the book to the definition of the Tatvik tides, it talks about what those are and how throughout the day there are tides of energy where each different type of energy sort of takes over for that time of the day, much like each hour of the day is ruled by a different planet, and the planetary hours progress throughout the day and just go in a cycle. The Tatvik tides do as well. So there are certain times of day that the Tatvik tide of Akasha is the prevailing force, I guess you could say. So, the Akashic Records, before I read you the definition, my basic understanding, or my basic definition, I guess, and I have been looking at this definition a lot, so my definition might sound a lot like this one because this is the one I've been reading over for the past couple of days, getting ready to do this video. If you asked me last year when I hadn't been thinking about it, I might have said something a little bit different. But the Akashic Records are basically like an energy imprint. It's this concept that somewhere on another plane of existence, it's not a physical reality, is just this imprint of the energy of everything that has ever transpired on Earth. I don't even know if I want to say on Earth because I don't know if it only applies to Earth. I believe it has to do with the entire universe. Everything that has ever occurred, the energy signature from that is recorded in what is called the Akashic Records, or the Hall of Records, or, yeah, several kind of names for that. And I guess it's usually thought of as something like a library, but another way of looking at it is like a computer chip, and that's the way that I see it in my mind. I see it as, you know, when you trace a picture on a piece of paper, and then if you were to use that same piece of paper to trace every other picture and every book and everything, if you were just to trace everything with the same piece of paper over and over, how there would just be overlaps, and it would be layers upon layers, all tightly wound together, of all of these different things. And you wouldn't really necessarily be able to tell what each individual thing was anymore because it's just all kind of there. That's how I picture it in my head, not as a piece of paper, but like in my head it's this plane of existence where, and it is flat for some reason in my head. I don't see it as like rows of bookshelves like a library or anything like that. I see it as flat, kind of like a computer chip, and it's glowing blue in my vision of it. It's a blue glowing thing, kind of like Tron, I guess, is how it looks a little bit. But the idea is that through meditation or through deep hypnosis, you can access those records and it will tell you everything that's ever happened on Earth. Now, I haven't actually personally tried to do that. I haven't done any work with it. I don't have any personal experience with it. I guess I believe that it's a thing. It's just not something that I've worked with or really have any experience with. So it's one of those things that I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure like that could be a thing. I think it's a valid idea or concept, and I think it's a helpful way of looking at things. The other thing before I read you that definition is that I was catching up on True Blood over the summer when my boyfriend was here. We had HBO Go at his parents' house, so we were catching up on season 6 of True Blood. And there was an episode in season 6 of True Blood, I don't remember which episode it is, like exactly which number, but it was where Sookie is trying to find out what happened to her parents and the entity that killed her parents. And she gets into, sorry if you believe in spoilers, I don't, but if you haven't seen it and you don't want spoilers, I'm just going to talk about it for the sake of this topic. So Sookie gets together with some fairies, and they tell her, oh, we know a way that we can access the energy imprint of the past and let you see what happened. And so they join hands in a circle, and their goal is to have her tap into the energy signature of the place. So they go to the place where they know that the event happened, and they use their magic to tap into the energy circuit, basically. And they never used the term, but that's basically the Akashic Records. That's what they were doing, was tapping into the energy signature of that place to have the actual energy of the place tell them what occurred there. And they did it sort of through ritual, sort of like meditation. They were standing around holding hands and, you know, concentrating or whatever, but it was basically meditation. So that's kind of what that was. So that's the most recent sort of media representation of the Akashic Records that I've seen, and they didn't call it that, but they talked about energy imprint and stuff like that. So the Encyclopedia says that Akashic Records is a term referring to a magnetic/ethereal plane in which the energy pattern of all that has transpired upon the Earth is imprinted. So this one does say things that have happened on Earth, but I personally believe that if it applies to Earth, it would have to be everything, and it would have to be the entire universe. Kind of like looking into the heart of the TARDIS. Yeah, sort of. Yeah, maybe. Oh, I'd have to think about that more to think if I actually like that parallel or not. Anyways, back to the definition. This is not unlike data being stored on magnetic computer disks. Occultists believe that the energy imprints contained within the Akashic Records can be accessed through magical and psychic methods. On the astral plane, the Akashic Records are envisioned as an immense library containing the collective records of the ages that have passed on the Earth. So this is saying that it's just a library for what has happened on the Earth. Okay, so I guess I am, in my mind, saying that if I believe that exists, then I believe it exists for everything. Sorry. Anyway, definition. Spontaneous knowledge, and to a degree even intuition, can be a tapping into of Akashic levels of energy. Wiccan teachings refer to a psychic ability known as hearing the voice of the wind. This is related not only to links with the Akashic Records, but also to one's rapport with the spirits of the old religion. Each Tatvik tide serves as a vortex through which one may access the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records themselves lie within the Odic mantle of the Earth, an occult term for the etheric components of the Earth's magnetic field. Okay, so it's a plane that exists within the energetic levels of the Earth's magnetic field and it also just applies to the Earth. So it's there because it applies to the Earth, or it's there, thus it only applies to the Earth, because it is around the Earth. I feel like logically, if I were to believe in the Akashic Records as a thing that I could work with, then I envision them as being something that could tell us something about the entire universe. I think it would be pretty difficult for me to even, I would have to work at it. I would have to work at trying to access the Akashic Records to even find out, not even what happened on Earth, but even just what happened in the past of my specific, ancestors, or the past of my specific location on Earth. Like, I feel like that would be a big enough undertaking for me. So I don't necessarily think that I could access the portion of the records that would tell me something that transpired in another galaxy at a totally different time or anything like that. But I just feel like logically, if I were to believe that that could exist on Earth, then I would have to believe that there was a record of what happened everywhere else. I have now been recording for a little over 14 minutes, and that's a lot longer than I thought I would have anything to say, and it was mostly reading. I apologize for that, but I'm glad I had some new thoughts while talking this out. See, and that's the thing. That's the strange thing about doing these videos. I've been thinking about this topic and reading these definitions and jotting things down and just thinking about it for several days now, getting ready to do this topic. Certain thoughts don't come out until I actually have to verbalize them in real speech, spoken words, and then I hear myself say things and it reminds me of something else. Things that I didn't think of when I was just thinking about it or reading about it or writing it down. So I hope you enjoyed that. And yes, for those of you who saw last week's videos, I did last week's video in character. If you read the description, it did explain that, yeah, it reminded you guys I'm an actor. I do that kind of thing. And I got some comments about Sid's appearance and things like that, so I did want to let you know that I was not planning on having any of my characters show up in videos for a very long time now. These are characters that I have been working with, that I have known and have gotten familiar with for several years now. They're not brand new. I did not make Sid up right on the spot. She has been around for a while. She's already very developed. But unfortunately, since I've moved, I didn't have the various costume and makeup elements that are supposed to be what Sid looks like. So essentially, she borrowed my clothes and my makeup for that video, and she wasn't very happy about it. So the comments that I got about her appearance upset her, but so I just thought I would let you guys know that's not actually what she looks like. She is a lot more developed character than that. I don't know when you're going to see her again, but I just wanted to let her do that video because I thought she would have more to say about the goth subculture than I would on my own, and she kind of has a little bit more, I can't think of the word, she has more knowledge of that. She has a little bit more, there's a word that I'm looking for that means that she is respected because she's sort of part of that group, whereas I necessarily am not necessarily. But anyway, I did want to let you know that I have since gotten some of her makeup. I got some new makeup for her so she won't be as upset. I still have to find the stuff that I used to do her hair, but the thing is, my characters all have very specific looks, and they all have very specific things about them, and I really didn't, Sid didn't reveal anything in that video. She was just talking about the topic, and so I hope you enjoyed it. I really hope that you didn't think that was the full extent of what I can do, because believe me, literally, you ain't seen nothing yet. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time, and until then, don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.